Hey, what's up everybody? Got a 2017 Camry. I'm doing front brakes. It's not that bad. Pretty simple, just like a lot of other Camrys. Go ahead and get to it right now. Obviously lift your car up safely. We'll first take your wheel off, and then we're going to get these caliper bolts off. These are 14mm bolts. When you turn them, that nut right there might spin with it, this nut right here. You need to hold that if it does. So once you get them loose, go ahead and take them out. If you don't have an air ratchet, obviously use a 14mm wrench or a socket. Okay, we're going to get these out, save the bolts, don't lose them, put them somewhere safe. Slide your caliper off like this, just wiggle it off, and then watch out for these springs, they might pop out. Grab those if they pop off. We're going to put this over the knuckle right here, so it's nice and safe and it's not stressing the brake line. We don't want to stress it out. We also don't want the caliper falling on us. So go ahead and pull these clips out if you have them. You should have them. The factory pads have these. If not, you might have aftermarket pads on your Camry. So let's go and save these. Pull these off. We'll talk about the brake pad shims in a minute. Get these off. This is your sensor right here. Save your sensors if your new pads don't have new ones on them. Alright, so with those out of the way, let's go and get these caliper bracket bolts out. 17mm. These are going to be a lot tighter than your caliper bolts. So this is 17mm, and we'll go and get this off. This is if you're servicing the rotor or replacing the rotor. If you're just doing a pad slap, you don't need to worry about taking these off. Okay. Alright, let's be careful not to drop it on ourselves or nothing like that. Go ahead and pull these out, save these bolts, put them somewhere safe, and then slide your bracket off, put it to the side. Again, if you're just doing a pad slap, you don't need to take the bracket off. Now your rotor might be rusted on. It has these two threaded spots. You could run a standard bolt in and it'll push the rotor off the hub. Let's go ahead and get it started. I'll show you. This rotor is it's rusted on the hub. This is a newer car too. Alright, so you just run the bolt down, it'll push the that off the hub. Now also, if you don't have that a little bolt to do that,
you can knock it off with a rubber mallet. Basically, you'll have it on the hub, put yourself a lug nut on there, and then hit it with a rubber mallet on the back, and it should pop off. It has to be a rubber mallet though, it can't be a real hammer or else it'll dent the rotor. So I'm resurfacing mine. This is on the car lathe. You could take yours to an auto parts store or get a new rotor. These pins are from the caliper bracket. You want to pop these out and put the lube on them and slide them back in. The one with the black grommet goes on the bottom. I got myself a wire brush. I'm going to go ahead and clean these out. Here's my part number for my pads. These are Toyota pads. If you have Toyota pads, you're going to want to switch these shims over and put the metal sensors on as well. I have a video about Toyota brake pad shims if you need to know what's going on with those. Put these caliper bracket bolts back in, 17mm. I'll put the torque specs in the comments and the description. But yeah, get those on tight to the correct torque. And then we'll put our pads in like this. Metal sensors go on the top of the pads. You want to get them in, make sure your shims lined up okay. Then we will compress the piston. This is a tool just for that. And there's other ways you can get creative. The piston just has to be pushed in. If you have like giant channel locks, you could do it. Put those little springs back in, and then with one hand holding the pads and the other hand put the caliper on. And then once you get the caliper on, make sure it lines up, and we'll go ahead and put the caliper bolts in, 14mm, and make sure the brake line or the brake hose isn't twisted. Make sure it's just how it was. Sometimes they get twisted, and that's it.